welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about my coming out story. It's been requested quite a few times and I thought I would do a bit of a video about that. So to kick start it off, I was born in Surrey in England, and to my lovely parents, my dad Michael and my mum Lynn. So at the time my dad was working as a milkman and my mum was working in a shop, so nothing too extravagant. I think we lived in a little sort of masonette-y tiny little house, and so I guess they tried to provide for me as much as they possibly could. So I think probably the first ever experience that I ever had thinking that I might have been different to everyone else was probably at the age of around 3 or 4. I had a friend at the time in the sort of communal garden. We used to sort of hang out together, and I remember sort of, I don't know really, just sort of fancying him in a way that I wasn't sure to understand at that age, and even since then I can remember that so vividly. So that was the first time that I ever experienced anything quite like that, and the first time that I ever thought about being attracted to someone. So after that, obviously went into school. I did have a few girlfriends and things like that, obviously probably just to try and go against what I had feeling inside, that I was different to everyone else. And that was really hard to come to terms with. So primary school was okay. I did get the odd sort of, oh, you're gay, and I sort of brushed it off and didn't think anything of it. So I got into secondary school, and they were probably the hardest years of my life. People were just so cruel, and I remember a few incidences where I just wanted not to be here anymore. People were just so cruel, you know, pushing me or chucking things at me or saying, oh, you gay boy, you queer, blah blah blah. And that was really hard. It wasn't probably until I was about sort of 13, 14, I did sort of come to terms with it. People were still being really mean and horrible to me, and that was really difficult to deal with, sort of mentally. And I remember sort of my mum always turning around and saying, oh, if you were gay, Leah, it wouldn't bother me. Okay. So I think my mum probably knew very early on that I wasn't like the usual boy. I used to play with sort of dolls and toys that were mainly women. Not to say that that means any consolation or any, you know, that just because you play with a doll, that means you're going to be gay. So that was sort of the first time I think Mum probably realised that I was, but I'm pretty sure before that she already knew I used to dress sort of, I used to play in her nighties, these lovely little silk nighties, and there's pictures of me which I might pop up here, of me in this lovely little silk nightie, and that was quite funny. So went through school, all that crap and all them horrible people, and I think I was about 15, 16 at the time. I just sort of finished school, and I decided that it was the right time to explain to my parents and my best friends that I was definitely different. So I remember sitting with my friends in Sainsbury's Cafe, and my friends already knew at the time, and they said, why don't you just text your mum? So I texted her and I said, Mum, just to let you know, I'm bisexual. So that was the first sort of time that I admitted it to anyone other than my friends. That it scared me, and my reply was, that's fine, we'll talk about it when we get home. So I was like, okay, fine. So I went home and I was literally just so panicky. I was like, oh my god, what have I said? And bearing in mind that my mum had already messaged and spoken to my dad and told him, I think I was probably more scared of my dad more than anything. I think for a man to tell your dad that you're gay is probably like the worst thing that they could probably hear. Maybe because they think you're not going to have children or carry on the name, which isn't true at all because there's so many options nowadays. And so I went home and I saw my mum and she just gave me a hug and said, "I'm really proud of you. I already knew." I was like, okay, cool. I've spoken to your father and he said he wants to call you. So I was like, oh, okay, right. My dad, it was, "Hi Lee, Mum's told me and I'm really happy for you and I am happy for you, whoever you are or whoever you choose to be. I'm still your dad and you're still my son and I will still love you." And for me, that was probably the biggest relief of my entire life. I don't think I've ever been as happy, ever, to hear that from my mum and dad, that they accepted me and they still loved me. And I know there's some people out there that aren't so lucky, and I feel very sorry for them people because life is so much nicer when you're yourself, you're not pretending to be someone you're not. I think it's hard to live a lie, mentally challenging to keep something like that hidden away for so long. So to all those people out there who haven't come out, I'd really recommend to just be honest with yourself. I wish I'd done it sooner, to be honest, and I wish I'd just said straight to their face that this is me. Obviously I understand that there's probably some parents out there who are maybe very religious or they don't agree with that. That is fine, but also at the same time you should be happy for, should be happy who you are, and if your family don't accept you, then do they really love you that much? Because at the end of the day, family should love you unconditionally, and if they don't, then that is their problem, and there's nothing you can do to change that at all. I've lost a few family members on the way for illness and other horrible things. I've got two nans, so this is instance, I've got two nans, being father's mum and my mum's mum. My mum's mum lives in Spain. She's probably in her late 60s, I think, and we haven't spoken for years, mainly because she just didn't agree with that, and that was hard. I already lost my granddad and I don't have really that much family, and that was heartbreaking to hear my nan so that she didn't agree with that and that she just hated me for it, really. Luckily, whereas my dad's mum loved me unconditionally and I couldn't ask for anything more. So that's pretty much my story. I don't really know how to put this video, but I hope it helps some people out there who are finding it hard to come to terms with their own sexuality. I think nowadays, it's pretty acceptable. I've never had any problems ever since then. You might get the odd comment out the window from van drivers usually, but other than that, I'm pretty lucky to have such a close-knit family and friends that love me, and to be honest, I couldn't wish for anything more. If there is any other questions that you have to ask, please feel free to message me on my Snapchat or Instagram, which is Lee Sincere, and if you need any help or advice, I'm always there. So hopefully this video's been a little bit of an insight into my own life, and hopefully it might help someone who's in desperate need. So for that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.